start off with this. Well, you guys may have heard, we've been talking about it a little bit. There's been a lot of whispers, some talking about a Jimmy Olsen and Gorilla Grodd show. And, you know, I've kind of been, are we really going to have Jimmy Olsen in 3 different things before we ever get Batman? Are we literally going to have Jimmy Olsen in 3 different things before we get Wonder Woman? And you guys have known my thoughts on that. But today, the official announcement came out, and I have to admit, I am a little bit more intrigued. Variety is here reporting that the official title is now officially greenlit. HBO has officially put in the series order, and it is called The People vs. Gorilla Grodd. As a mockumentary series set at HBO Max, Skylar Gisondo and Jimmy Tatro are going to be starring in it. Now, of course, Skylar plays Jimmy Olsen, and Jimmy, he's been in a bunch of things recently, but of course he got his big breakout thing in American Vandal, which is not the only connection to this. But listen to this. HBO Max is officially moving forward with their DC Studios mockumentary series now titled The People vs. Gorilla Grodd. The show was first officially reported back in November of 2025, but now HBO Max has given the show an 8-episode order. Now, this is where it gets interesting. The log line for the show states, a super intelligent ape being played by Tatro is convicted of murdering his father, the king of Gorilla City. In an 8-part true crime docuseries, the Daily Planet's Jimmy Olsen reopens the case, investigating whether Gorilla Grodd was wrongfully convicted in one of Metropolis's most famous murder trials. Okay, look, everything I said before, guys, about it feels very wrong that we're literally going to have a Jimmy Olsen character in Superman, in People vs. Gorilla Grodd, in Man of Tomorrow, before we even get Batman in the universe. I mean, there's just something off about that, and I don't change my thought on that. However, when you realize that this is going to be showrun by the 2 guys who created American Vandal, which was amazing. American Vandal was so funny and so good. And it played on that whole true crime wave. Like, what was the main one? That main one that got everybody interested, and it was that that kid who got convicted of murdering his girlfriend, but they're revisiting whether or not he actually did it. I can't remember the name of it. I'm sure a lot of you guys in the live chat remember. It was like the most famous podcast in the world for a while. But anyway, American Vandal was kind of a play on that. And for them to bring this into the world of DC, I'm not gonna lie, guys, I kind of low-key love this. I'm not taking away any of the stuff that I said before about the fact that, listen, we're getting an awful lot of projects here before we even have 2 of the 3 Trinity members in the DCU, like TikTok, everybody. But if you were to ask me in a vacuum, the creators of American Vandal doing a mockumentary true crime docuseries of one of Metropolis's most intrepid reporters reopening a murder cold case that saw Gorilla Grodd be convicted and diving in and investigating that in a vacuum, I would say hell yes. Yes, all of this. Listen, if I'm going to be honest, this just sounds like a straight up fantastic idea. I think it sounds wildly entertaining. Again, that does not take away any of my previous feelings that, that we should be getting Batman going before a Jimmy Olsen show. We should be getting Wonder Woman going before a Jimmy Olsen show. Maybe meet Flash, maybe meet Cyborg, maybe meet Aquaman. I don't know. But this by itself in this vacuum, I think sounds absolutely wonderful. Like I like it way more than what I thought it was going to be, which was a traditional narrative procedural show, mockumentary style docuseries about a crime that Jimmy Olsen doesn't think Gorilla Grodd committed. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't completely tantalized by it. I think it sounds really good. Anyway, Rob, we've been talking about this, the idea of doing Jimmy Olsen and a Gorilla Grodd show, which still is a bit of a head scratcher in general, I admit. But I gotta say, I love the sounds of this. I don't know. You finally got to read the log line today, like I did. What do you make of it?
Well, again, it's certainly a high wire act in terms of writing, and I think they've got the right people involved to do it. But I hope it doesn't descend into. I mean, it's kind of like what I hoped would happen with She-Hulk. I wanted to see. I wanted to see a comedic show set in the MCU that would deal with what are the legal ramifications of metahumans running around doing all kinds of things. How does that affect the MCU? And it to me, I thought the possibilities of storylines and characters showing up and cameos and yet a real examination into what would happen, and we didn't get that. And to me, this could be a really great, both a really interesting show about the DC universe itself, but also at the same time, a meta send up and a very comedic look at our own world. It's a mirror reflection of what's going on in our own world today. And that's where great satire comes from. So when I was reading this, I'm like, okay. I mean, people forget that Jack Kirby introduced the new gods in the pages of Superman's pal, Jimmy Olsen.
Yeah.
So, we could see some really interesting, I mean, I'm in for this, man. But again, I admit it's going to take a real deft touch when it comes to the writing of this, because it could go off the rails really fast. But if it doesn't go off the rails, it could be classic.
And that's what gives me a little bit of hope right now, is the fact that the two guys running it are the guys who just literally wrote the book on how to do a show like this when they did American Vandal.
Right.
Because I was shocked how fun and entertaining and funny that show was. And it never once, because that show felt like, from episode 1, it felt like any minute, like you said, at any minute it could go off the rails. And it never did. It never did. It always like skated on that line. And if they can bring that to a show like this, and again, the same kind of caveat that we apply to Lanterns, guys, it's HBO. When do they miss? Rarely.
Yeah, not rarely.
And John,
Rarely.
James Gunn said this was something they were pitching before Peter Safran and him took over the DC universe.
Right.
So this has been a show that they've been discussing for a while. And like you said, if it's HBO, I mean, if you think about HBO comedies all the way back to a favorite of mine, Dream On, from the early 90s, which, Brian Benben is Martin Tupper, which I guess is on Tubi now. I think this could be great stuff. I really do.
Now, I see some people in the live chat, understandably so, saying something like, yeah, but this isn't what the DCU needs right now. You know what the DCU needs right now? Well-received properties.
Yeah.
That's what they need. It doesn't matter, because listen, what do you think what does the DCU need right now more? A great People versus Gorilla Grodd show that critics and audiences really love, or a Batman movie that people are lukewarm on? Now, obviously, all other things being equal, we would all say, great, fantastic Batman movie. But at the end of the day, winning cures everything. And so if this show comes out, and if it's even 75% as good as American Vandal, this will be exactly what the DCU needs. The DCU needs wins, because, listen, Peacemaker great, Superman great, but we're coming off of a big loss with Supergirl. And, guys, they seem to get their footing back. Lanterns was fucking fantastic, episode 1. We'll see if it goes off the rails.
Can't wait for Sunday.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm just hoping it doesn't go to crap after a great intro. But, I mean, you follow... Okay, fine. Supergirl was... you put that one down in the L column. No argument from me. 100%. It was a bad movie. But you follow that up with Lanterns, if it stays as good as the premiere episode was. And then you follow that up with Clayface, that if that's even half as good as it looks, we're all going to be happy. And then you follow that up with another really good show. Am I still going to be whining like a little bitch that we don't have Batman yet? Yeah, probably. But
just when you start whining, you're going to get Man of Tomorrow. And if that's great,
yes,
you know
and
what I
then
mean?
if that's so, I mean, what they really need, especially coming off of Supergirl, is quality stuff. And the people behind this give me a lot of hope. So I got to tell you, I'm warming up to it. I'm warming up to it a lot.
I say
Anyway.
do what you want when it's a series. If it's a series, reach for the sky, but the pillars need to start being established cinematically.
Yeah, I agree. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Apparently, they are moving forward, and I like the name of the show, to be honest with you, The People versus Gorilla Grodd, as a mockumentary docuseries right in the vein of American Vandal. And look at that, being made by the guys who made American Vandal. I love the sounds of it. I like the looks of it. It could go, like Rob was suggesting, this could go way wrong, like She-Hulk did. It could go way wrong. But if they strike the right chord, this could be kind of awesome. Anyway, whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts.